All right, new hat shows up. Ordered this Red Sox hat, and I'm just happened to wear it the day I'm recording the Patriots episode. Coincidence. It's just all kinds of coincidence with me. Hello everyone, welcome to another draft class recap video. Today we're talking about the New England Patriots. Let's begin. All right, so first the offseason. We all know the big news. Tom Brady is no longer a New England Patriot. He is now a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Times couldn't be weirder if you're a football fan, because it just doesn't make any sense. You look at the league and you're like, Phillip Rivers is in Indianapolis, Teddy Bridgewater's in Carolina. Tampa Bay has Tom Brady for some reason. It's goofy. We all got to adjust. We're getting used to it. So the New England Patriots enter the 2020 season, and this is the beginning of the post Tom Brady era. And I think a lot of people are underestimating Bill Belichick's ability to recoup and rebuild and still be able to compete for a Super Bowl. As of this recording, Jarrett Stidham and Brian Hoyer are the only two notable quarterbacks on this roster that will probably see significant playing time this year. Cam Newton is still a free agent, just a note. So really, in all aspects, this Patriots team, as long as Bill Belichick is at the helm, I think you have nothing to worry about. If I'm a Patriots fan, I'm absolutely trusting the process, and I'm absolutely drinking the Kool-Aid and listening to whatever Bill Belichick wants to do. I mean, he's gotten you how 2 decades of victories and Super Bowls, and there's so much winning. How could you question anything that this man does? So, having said all that, interesting draft nonetheless. Now, a lot of people leading up to the draft figured that first pick that the Patriots had before they traded it was going to go to a quarterback like Jordan Love. People were talking about Jake Fromm in late October and December, or late November and December. But that ended up not happening. They actually bypassed every quarterback in the draft and decided to go with what you see before you, which is actually, I think, given what we know about Bill Belichick and how he finds value in players, this is going to be a very slept-on draft, very undervalued, the underdog draft of the 2020 draft, if you will. So let's get into it. As of course I mentioned, they traded away that first-round pick, so they begin with round 2, pick 37, Kyle Duggar, safety from Lenore-Rhine. Division II standout, had 184 tackles, 24 passes defended, and 6 interceptions. His stock rose pretty late in this process, but there was talks of him potentially being a first-round pick, but I guess the Patriots decided that they didn't need to do that. They were able to trade back, acquire more assets, and still get the guy that they wanted. Moving on, round 2, pick 60, Josh Uche, linebacker from Michigan, or edge rusher, whatever your flavor is. I'm very impressed with this guy, and as a matter of fact, I figured out a use that I have for these magnets. Now, right now they're just plain gray magnets, but maybe I'll put some kind of logo on them, because this is going to be noted as the player that I'm jealous of in this draft. I really like this kid. The interview at the Combine pretty much sold me. The way that he talks about his position, the players that have come before them, and how he tries to study them and adapt what they do into his own game. Career at Michigan, 193 that's the next player. 52 tackles, 15.5 sacks, 19.5 tackles for loss. He was 10th in the Big Ten last year in sacks with 7.5. So I'm very excited to see how he does. It's just unfortunate he goes to a team that I'm not a big fan of. Round 3, pick 87, Ernie Jennings, edge rusher from Alabama. Solid career at Alabama, 193 tackles, 14.5 sacks, 33.5 tackles for loss. He was 4th in the SEC last year in sacks with 8, and 3rd in the SEC in tackles for loss with 13. So he gets in the backfield quite a bit, and he causes a lot of disruption. Definitely what you want on an edge pressing, on the edge pressiness, with the word salad. Words are difficult. Moving on, round 3, pick 91, Devin Asiasi, tight end from UCLA. At this point in the draft, this is where people were starting to look at the Patriots and they're starting to go, is the dog making selections? If you remember, they had the video broadcast out of Bill Belichick's house, and the dog was actually in the chair as if he was making the picks looking at the laptop. But I disagree. I know CBS really hated this pick when they made it, because they were talking about how Harrison Bryant and Hunter Bryant were still on the board. Having watched his film, I'm actually pretty intrigued. I think Devin Asiasi could be something special, especially in this offense. You got to figure, this isn't just your ordinary NFL team. This is a team coached by Bill Belichick. He will do whatever it takes to get the victory, and he finds value where nobody else sees it. He's the money ball of the NFL. His career at UCLA, 52 receptions, 789 yards, 6 touchdowns. 10th in the Pac-12 last year in yards per reception with 14.6. So definitely an offensive weapon. Probably won't be used much in blocking. So if there's a passing down situation or a running situation where he's going to be needed to block, you might not see him on the field. But at the same time, that's an interesting aspect of it, is how much are they actually going to be running. They still have Sony Michel and a stable of running backs that are average at best. Maybe this is the year that they start slinging it again with N'Keal Harry on the outside, Jared Stidham, and now Ossie as a potential threat over the middle. Moving on, round 3, pick 101, Dalton Keene, tight end from Virginia Tech. So they decided to double up on tight ends with back-to-back picks. Dalton Keene finishes with 59 receptions, 748 yards, 8 touchdowns. Very similar stat line to Ossie. Also very similar in stature. These are two very big tight ends. Ossie is 6'3", 257, and Keene is 6'4", 253. So Jared Stidham has a couple new security blankets that he will absolutely be able to utilize in this offense. Moving on, round 5, pick 159, Justin Rohrwasser. Am I saying that right? Kicker from Marshall, Thundering Herd, and represent. For his career, extra points, 79 out of 82 for a 96.3 conversion rate. Field goals, 33, can't read my own handwriting. Made 33 out of 42 for a 78.6 career conversion rate, and he was first in Conference USA last year in field goal percentage with 85.7. So a solid year last year is what elevated him to this spot. And I don't, normally I say, like, don't draft kickers and punters and specialists in this spot unless you absolutely have to. And I think it probably was in the Patriots' best interest to go ahead and do this. That, and I'm not in any position to criticize anything that Bill Belichick does. This guy can take a can of Spam and turn it into a holiday feast. So it is what it is. Round 6, pick 182, Mike Onwenu, guard from Michigan. Then moving on to round 6, pick 195, Justin Herron, guard from Wake Forest, spending capital on the interior offensive line. Absolutely love it. Round 6, pick 204, Cash Maluia, linebacker from Wyoming. Interesting player, finished 197 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 16.5 tackles for loss at Wyoming, 4 interceptions, and 7 passes defended. So he's usable in coverage, which is probably the role that he'll see. For their final pick, round 7, 230, Dustin Woodard, center from Memphis. And I appreciate this as well because maybe it's not the greatest pick in the world with the interior offensive line being a weak class this year, but you're still spending capital in the trenches. And that's what they did a lot. If you look, if you count Josh Uche as an edge rusher, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 picks spent in the trenches. And I think that is where Bill Belichick wants to win this year, is some good old-fashioned in-your-face smash-mouth football. So that is the 2020 NFL draft for the New England Patriots. As I said, I believe that this could be an underdog draft haul. And it's not the flashiest. It's not, filled with skill position players, but I think it's got a lot of great value picks. And I understand the criticisms against Ossie and Keene because of the tight ends that were still available on the board. But Hunter Bryant went undrafted, if I remember correctly. And I think a lot of that had to do with the medical concerns and the world that we live in now, not being able to do face-to-face interviews and physicals to check on those medical reports. So Ossie absolutely intrigues me, so that will get the other magnets of the day. So Uche is the jealous pick, and Ossie is the most intriguing pick. We only have a handful of teams left to do this, so I'm sad to announce that I broke out these magnet ideas this late, but you live and learn. So that's going to do it for this episode. Very intriguing draft. I'm interested to see how it all gets put together this season in the post-Tom Brady era for the first year. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.